Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance live show number 40, baby. Number 40. Yeah. In the house with my boy, good old Maurice.
That was me that time.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing pretty well.
Okay. We've got Maurice here via satellite from Cancun. He's on vacation. How you doing out there in Cancun? Is it really windy?
Yes, really windy indeed.
Yes, from the front lines of Cancun. Good old Maurice. We're looking at some footage here of my event, the event to unlock Sith Marauder. Didn't really have much else going on this week, so I figured we'd take a look at the event here and just kind of go over some second thoughts on the character now that he's been released and other people have had an opportunity to try him out a little bit. And also want to go over the quality of life notes that were released the other day, and we're going to go over, our TW. Obviously, in the headline, you can see, the Alliance Alpha is facing Team Instinct Bravo again. The same matchup from the first week of Territory Wars, or the first ever Territory War that we had. We ended up losing the first time, so it's a rematch, and hopefully we fare better this time. I'm sure Warrior will be rooting for his team, and I will be doing our best to try to do what we can to get some revenge for last time. But we'll get into that discussion a little bit later. Anyway, Maurice, have you unlocked this character? Are you right now, super excited about Sith Marauder? How do you feel about him?
I took him to level 50, put some mods on him, and he'll just sit there at about gear 6, gear 7. I think he's gonna be a cool character. If he's in an easy farm spot for me, I'll probably go straight for him when he's released. He looks to be a nice piece because the Sith teams, especially if you want to build two of them, you do need at least an extra body or two. He is a Sith. Looks pretty cool. Looks like he's got some potential for some real high damage. I personally haven't used him outside of this event yet, so a few months I'll be much more savvy on him.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, first impressions are okay, I guess, for some of the people that have had him at Gear 12 already and had an opportunity to work with him a little bit. But again, there's not. I think this is a character that you're more looking at, let's say 2 or 3 months from now when we have these other Sith characters that are possibly coming to the game as well. Like Darth Sion and Darth Treya. You may be looking at a whole Sith squad, depending on their leader abilities and how they synergize with him. Sure, but it's always interesting to see them put out a character like this where you really don't know what to expect from the other characters that are coming. So it's like I don't know whether it makes sense to go for Sith Marauder or just stick with my guns because maybe Sith Assassin and Sith Trooper are better fits with those characters. So we'll have to see. But that's part of it. You have to make decisions and, see which way you're going to go. Now, the characters it's a marquee character, so, I mean, he will be farmable in probably about 8 weeks to 12 weeks. So, I mean, within the next, for sure, 60 days or so, he'll be a farmable character. So, looking forward to that, whenever that happens. But, again, it's tough to really, in my eyes, make an investment on my part until I know what all the pieces are, and, especially since, I still occasionally buy characters, but, especially since when I do buy characters, I want to make sure that they're part of, like, the overall picture of what I'm working on. I don't just want to buy a random character here and there. That's really what I do. Is I bought Mother Talzin, for example, or Darth Nihilus, not quite as much as I used to buy, but, when I do buy a character, I want to make sure that, they're, part of the large overall plan, for teams that I'm working on. So we'll have to see. I'm going to wait and see until, we get Darth Treya and Darth Sion, what their kits are like, and then I'll have a better idea of whether it makes sense to grab this guy or not. That's just my opinion.
Well, that's a good point. He might complement a character that's not really in the game yet, really well. So that's a good point. Like he might get really, really good here I was released another Sith or two. So yeah,
It just depends.
there's
I mean,
potential there. It's just
it just depends. I mean, his kit could be perfect for a Darth Trey elite. Who knows? But
right.
we'll have to wait and see. But yeah. So I mean, other than that, there was the notes that came out the other day that kind of discussed the quality of life updates. So I want to go over that before we get into some gameplay here. So the quality of life improvements are going to be the raid tickets were fixed for the daily accumulation of the daily check for raid tickets to make sure that officers can now see whether their guildmates have all completed their 600 for the day, which makes it a lot easier for tracking every single day, because I know people had created charts and graphs, and we were doing math to just kind of see, if everybody was getting there. You're just basically looking at the lifetime coins and doing math based off of that to see, who had done their 600, and it's just a lot of work that didn't need to be done. So now it's just much easier to see, and again, we've gotten sort of used to the life without the tickets being fixed, because it's something that's been asked for a long time that just never got done. But at least I'm glad to see that they actually got around to doing that at some point. Now, another thing that's interesting is device linking. Now, I know there's a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I've definitely heard over the years or over the time that there's been people that have tried to make the switch from iOS to Android, and they weren't able to do that in the past. And now that seems to be, capable or an option. So you'll be able to, you basically link an iOS device's account to an Android device if you decide to switch devices. So you're not going to have to worry about calling, customer service or anything like that to have to switch over your account, which I know something that people have gone through in the past, sitting there on the phone for hours trying to get that done. And I think you were only able to do it once or something like that, some weird rule behind it, I forget. But players that have reached 85, that have completed Galactic War over 150 times, can now sim their entire Galactic War. So that's excellent. And I'm glad to see that they're still tracking how many times you've done Galactic War, because I remember the last time I was able to see was when we had 100, right? Because that was where you got that big achievement for reaching 100 Galactic Wars, and then after that they didn't track it anymore. So somewhere in there the game is still tracking that, and I'm wondering if they still, because I remember a long time ago they used to also track your defensive or your offensive wins. Do you remember that? Or your losses? We used to be able to see that. Like, you used to be able to see that if you made a friend request or an ally request, you would actually see the amount of losses that person had on defense or on offense. That you can't. I don't think we can see that anymore. But that would be kind of cool.
That's a good thing. I don't want people seeing all these losses I accumulate when I'm going there with some new tester team. Just get embarrassed. Nobody needs to see that.
You're going to be able to have an easier time with text search, typing in, let's say, for example, character names to find the character faster. Now that there's so many characters in the game, there's going to be, an improvement to the favorites for the characters. You'll be able to multi-sim ship challenges, which is cool. That's something that hasn't been able to be done to this point. Able to sim the credit heist and the training droid smuggling events. That's also cool. There'll be an inbox message to delete button, and there'll be a confirmation button now for Zeta purchases. I know some people have made some mistakes and purchased a Zeta that they didn't really want to. Have you spoken to anybody that had that similar issue?
Well, I mean, yes, but that's not the game's fault. That's totally a user error. I don't know. It's cool that they fixed it, though. I mean, yeah. But I like this so far. I mean, this sounds like a really, really, really good update. Yeah.
So we're expecting this to go live on the 28th. And there's also going to be improvements to the shipments. Oh, I didn't get a Zeta. Jesus. All right. They're going to basically reduce the number of required taps when viewing details on a shipment, and then choosing to purchase shipments now. The quantity of gear shards owned at the top level. The detail screen acts as the confirmation. Last month's leaderboard, the last month's top 3 guild leaderboard has been visually improved. They made some improvements to territory wars as far as the ties are concerned. So you'll be getting less banners for victories on the second attempt, for example. So that'll kind of change the way territory wars are scored. So it'll be basically based upon how many teams you needed to beat their squads versus overall just beating their squads. So I mean, if that's going to mean that participation is going to be part of it too. So you're going to have to make sure that everybody participates so that you're using your best squads out there to have less attempts.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's going to shake it up a good bit. Because, if a guild's having trouble like getting through the initial wall of the CLS or the Ray, or we'll probably start seeing some Palpatine on defense now. Whatever the case is, like if you're having an issue getting through there, and the players that are online, like, well, I can beat this team, and they start plucking away at them, it's really going to penalize the guild. So it's going to change it up a good bit.
Well, another interesting thing is you're going to be able to see how many times your team defended. So you'll actually be able to sit there and track, like, which teams were the best on defense. So it'll kind of give some people some bragging rights, saying their team was, held the best, and versus somebody else who says their team held the best, and you'll actually be able to see how well your team held up, and it'll track it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and not so much for bragging rights, but guilds. I mean, it would be a great tool for guilds to see, like, okay, well, player A, B, and C use this particular lineup of their CLS. D, E, and F use this particular lineup. Why don't everybody? We can clearly see that A, B, and C has a better setup, so let's everybody set that up like that. Just have a full zone of the best teams. I think it's gonna be great for organizing your guild's defense, and it's going to get tougher. These territory wars are going to get tougher, but they're going to keep giving us characters, and it's going to go back and forth. So this is I don't know. They're doing a good job with territory wars. It's really a fun game mode. It can be a little stressful, but it's a good game mode. And I think it's the best one we have in the game right now.
Oh, for sure. It's just a kind of a throwback to almost tournaments for me, in my opinion. So no, I really like it a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing, obviously the Sith raid coming out and seeing what that entails and how many new characters we get from it. Because I'm sure there'll be some new other characters that are involved in the raid too. I mean, whether they're characters that are Sith related or characters that basically just are created to be, let's say, special characters like in that raid. Like, for example, I feel like when BB-8 initially came out, he was really made to be a great added synergy to the Resistance and the raids. So the raids that they're once you had BB-8 to, let's say, a Finn Resistance team, all of a sudden they're doing millions and millions of damage in the heroic AAT. So I'm wondering what new characters they add to kind of be raid specific characters. But we'll see. I wonder who the next Tebow is for this raid.
We'll see, and well, somebody will figure it out way too late. Like, somebody will come up with a video, just like last time. Remember how we all used the droid in P2? We thought that was like the ultimate team for the tank raid for a month or two. Yeah. Everyone invested in the droids, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, the droids are not only is there a better team, but they're bottom of the barrel now. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody will figure something out, like these guys are doing now with the Wampas and Vaders, and there's a video out with Akbar and Ezra, so on the raid. People are going to figure it out. So it's real important to remember when these raids come out, don't invest in the first thing you see. Just you got to be smart. Because up until TW, I really had no use for my droid whatsoever. I mean, they just been sitting there all gear 10, gear 11 for months unused. So
that's true. So they're also adding a new achievement for once you've reached 4 territory wars wins, then to 8 territory wars wins, and to 12, it'll go all the way up to 50 wins, and you'll get the achievements for that. So as soon as the events or as soon as the update pops out, any of the amount of victories that you have. So let's say you have already 8 Territory Wars victories, you'll already be getting 2 achievements as soon as it unlocks. So that'll be pretty cool. Whatever, depending on what the rewards are, unless it's like a Carbonti or something. Which, I mean, I'll take a Carbonti, I guess.
You can give me Carbonti.
You can give me Carbonti anytime, right? Yeah. But that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, again, not much to talk about as far as news is concerned. We're gonna get, I'm sure, some news as I go to California here in a couple of days, and we'll have some more information. I'll be leaving on Wednesday morning. We'll be arriving Wednesday afternoon. I'll be getting together with the guys, at some point later in the day on Wednesday, and then I'm sure we'll have dinner together. And on Thursday is really going to be the day where we're going to get the chance to sit down and talk about some upcoming stuff. And then we're actually going to sit down and probably get some capture in for possibly, I don't know, maybe the new raid, or maybe even these new characters. I mean, I really hope that we get some gameplay of these new characters, kind of like when they had us out last year when they released the Heroic AAT raid, for us to actually get some initial footage on General Kenobi. So I'm hoping, similarly, we actually get, or it was the year before that, but maybe about a year and a half ago. But they had us out, towards the end of the year to get footage on General Kenobi and the HAAT raid. So I'm hoping similar to that, they're going to have us get some footage here of Darth Traya, Darth Sion, and this Sith raid. So we'll see. And maybe I'll get a little bit of a look at some other things that are coming up over the next few months, because I've heard we've got a lot of cool things coming down the pipe. But we'll see. I'm excited nonetheless, and I'll keep you guys informed on all the information that I get and anything that I'm allowed to share. But yeah, I mean, so like I said earlier, we have a TW against Team Instinct Bravo this week. We did face them in the first ever Territory Wars for us, and we came up a little bit short. They had a really good plan going in, and we didn't really execute. But things have changed. That we've gotten a lot better at Territory Wars, I believe, since then. Besides our one tie with BHG Reloaded, I think we've been pretty much we've had a victory in every other Territory Wars. So we had that one loss, a tie, and then every other one was a victory. I think we're ranked number 1 in the world right now in Territory Wars, Galactic Power defeated. So, but again, Team Instinct is a great challenge. Again, they beat us last time, so we have to be as prepared as possible. I know we have a game plan together. I really can't go into too much about what squads we're going to be running. I'm sure they have a good idea of what we're going to be doing, but again, I just want to keep it competitive. So otherwise, I would love to go into the Territory Wars right now and just kind of go over what teams I'm putting up there. But then that would kind of reveal our whole game plan, which I'm not going to do. So just want to keep it competitive and see what happens. But it should be awesome. Yeah, if you guys want to have any questions asked on the live stream later on, we're still going to get into our usual top 5 and all that, but for any questions that you'd like to have asked on the stream, you can type them into the chat now, and we'll put them on the side to be asked later on in the show. So you can start to get those questions in now for later on. So we'll have a nice big Q&A section towards the end of the stream. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to seeing what that battle's like. Right now we're still in the setup phase, so we're still setting up our defenses. But tomorrow we'll get a chance to see where it's at. Typically when we face most of the teams, by the time I get an opportunity to even start doing battles, which is usually later in the night, because I'm coming back from work, most of the teams' defenses have already been pretty much depleted. I mean, with Alpha, I'm pretty spoiled with that, because the guys are usually pretty proactive in taking out the other squads. But I think tomorrow specifically, I'm sure we'll be battling Team Instinct into the night. So I'm definitely going to make sure I get back as early as possible to get my battles in. But who are you guys facing this week, Maurice?
We were facing a guild called Death Core. I feel like we've already played them. I feel like this is a rematch. I think. I lose track. Up at your GP, it's a little easier to keep track because there's so few guilds, that you guys can play. But we're right in the mix. Like we're right in the meat of the, 140 million. So there's every week it's just different guild.
Right. I mean, there's only.
Looking forward to it. We kind of revised our plan a little bit. Yeah, we're tightening up our defense a little bit. It's interesting to see how we fare. Because all of us, every guild, anybody that's played, longer than 6-8 months, they have their Vaders and Palpatines, and so everyone's got like an extra little, an extra weapon now. Either whether you put them on defense or offense, it's basically like that Palpatine lead of Vader, especially Vader. You get that speed for free, no Zeta needed. That's just a huge kit improvement that everybody has in their arsenal now. So it'll be interesting to see. We might be getting a lot more draws this go around because everyone has Vader. So that's kind of that. I'm kind of interested to see how that's going to play out.
Right. And again, once we get to this update in a couple of weeks, I mean, the next set of territory wars, it's going to be really interesting to see how those scores break up because, again, it's going to kind of change the entire scoring system. So if you have to put in, if you're a team that's putting in all your defense and you're not really saving much for offense, it's going to take a lot more attempts to try to take them out. So I want to see if more teams end up starting to cheese because of this. And hopefully not. I mean, hopefully it still keeps it, competitive, and people are still trying to put their best defensive squads out there. But I'm wondering if this update makes it, even less beneficial to put your full defensive squads out there. So we'll see.
I hope not. Like it's just there's a sense of like public shaming to guilds that do that. That's just not. I don't know. Don't do that, guys. If you guys are considering that as a guild, don't do that. That's no good.
I mean, it's a strategy going in there with your worst. I mean, so you're working for a tie. I mean, again, it's not going to be like that anymore because now you really can't work for a tie anymore. It's still going to be basically dependent on a lot of different variables now. So scores won't be the same. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm sure it'll be very rare to see a tie now, in the very least. So we'll have to see. But I don't know. Are you thinking that? Are you thinking that with the upcoming stuff for the Sith, right, and the new raid dropping? I don't know. Do you think we're seeing a level cap increase here too?
Traditionally, I guess, I honestly don't remember the Rancor, but when we got the HAAT, I'm pretty sure we got a level cap increase, and I could see the tier 7 of this new raid being, tiered for a higher level. Yes, we'll see. It's been a long time. People are going to complain. Either way, if we don't get it, we'll complain. If we do, but it's been a long time. So I mean, there is one that's due soon. So if you guys are in a position to kind of hoard credits, it's probably because you're always going to be able to spend them on something. I would sit on credits right now and just kind of work on gearing characters that you already have, because that doesn't cost credits really. Kind of only level up your really premium mods and just gear characters, but kind of sit on credits just in case we do get a level cap increase ready. You can get your arena team up to level 90. You can get your core, like, raid characters right up. It's not a bad time to hoard credits.
No, not at all.
Whatsoever.
Not at all. And that's the thing. I mean, you're always preparing for the unexpected, but this is something that I'm pretty sure we can pretty much expect at this point. I mean, whether it's coming with the raid or not, I mean, it may come shortly thereafter, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing a scaling of or an increase in the level cap. We're way overdue, and It's been a long time. I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of level cap increases. Again, I don't like having to work my way back up and then having to level up the characters with all those credits. I mean, it took a long time to get characters up to level 85. So it's going to take a long time to get characters up to level 90 if that's in fact where we do go. It's part of the game. It's been a long time since we have had a level cap increase, and I guess with that level cap increase again, like we discussed last time, there are going to be new challenges, new additions to the game, new levels for Cantina, new levels for Light Side and Dark Side. So we'll get possibly some nodes to farm, some gear that we weren't able to farm before, possibly some nodes to farm some characters that we weren't able to farm before, and it'll be interesting to see who the new Cantina characters are. Like we have always looked for in the past with these level cap increases. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But
while we're on this topic, Sane Tyrell actually asked a question. Do you think we're gonna when they bump it up to level 90? Remember they bumped it up to 85 when we got those prize boxes. Do you think up to level 90 those prize boxes could contain like a Zeta? Like you would get a Zeta a day?
That's a good question.
You think maybe get an extra Omega?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, do I think that they're going to start including other things? Yes, I think that for sure we're going to start to see maybe a Zeta a day instead of just an Omega a day. I'm sure they'll add Omegas to be a regular part of the challenges for the mod challenges. Not the mod, the ability mats challenge. So you'll be able to get probably Omega mats every time with that. And then possibly maybe have a chance to get a Zeta out of those challenges. I mean, it'll depend, but definitely interesting. I mean, I hope they add like some sort of we have the droid challenge, we have the credits challenge, the droid heist and the credit heist. It'd be cool if they added like another heist, like something for ability mats or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. You do a heist and you get like 50 ability mats, 50 purples. That'd be pretty cool. You can never have enough purple mats.
Yeah. That is true.
So let's move on to our meta report. And we're taking a look here at the top 10 top 10 leaders at rank 1. And as far as the pie shakes up here, again, it's relatively similar with one huge difference, and that's Emperor Palpatine has overtaken CLS as as number 2 in the top 10 leaders at rank 1. So CLS now not only behind Rey Jedi Training, but also behind Emperor Palpatine. What a shocker. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, that's legit. I mean, just like I said earlier, that Vader, you get on that extra speed, and just under that Zeta Palpatine, like Vader goes first, drops the dots, gets 100% turn meter, throws the saber, gets more turn meter. It's crazy how quick that team can get going. People are using Tarkin, people are using like Stark, any character that does like debuffs. It's crazy how fast that team can go with traditionally the like slow base speed characters. It's pretty crazy how that Zeta's something else. If you have the characters already developed and that just fell right in your lap. Like you've got a legit arena team. It's tough to beat. When I'm still running Night Sisters, and you can see, looking up the pie chart here, people are starting to get off the Night Sisters because you really have to have good mods to compete with the Night Sisters against these Palpatine teams. It's the real deal.
Well, I'm kind of shocked, I'll tell you the truth. I did not see this happening. I thought that we would see Palpatine make a move up the ladder. I didn't think he was going to become a lot. I mean, he's going to continue to increase. I mean, these are just the people that have gotten the Zeta so far, right? So, I mean, there's still people, saving Zetas for Emperor Palpatine's leader. There's still people, that are gearing up their Palpatine to try to get that team together. So we may see him actually eventually take over Rey's spot, which I don't know if we're going to see all that, but again, I'm surprised he's even at where he's at. I mean, I didn't expect CLS to take a back seat to Emperor Palpatine. If you would have asked me that, a week ago, I would have said you're crazy. But
well, yes, but Palpatine is much more available. People have had Palpatine. Like myself, I got Palpatine the second time it came out, almost a year and a half ago, and he's just been sitting there. So people have that guy already developed, and he's just sitting there and gets hooked up. Whereas like CLS and Rey, you've got to farm all these characters, get them ready. There's no event. I mean, you got to get Rebels for Palpatine. I mean, that's super simple. Like you have those characters. He's not hard to get. So I think from a free to play standpoint, Palpatine is your go-to team right now. Definitely.
Well, I mean,
he's free to play dream come to him and Vader.
He's definitely reduced the amount of Grand Admiral Thrawn leads that you're seeing out there. I mean, Grand Admiral Thrawn was being used a lot more frequently with Empire squads, so now you're seeing that Emperor Palpatine lead. Obviously Grand Admiral Thrawn is slipping all the way to the bottom of the list here. But that Rex, man, Rex will always be in the meta. Rex will never not be in the top 10 leaders at rank 1, I don't think. He's just got...
Oh, he will shoot up, too, in the next few weeks. The more Palpatines we see, the more Rex we're going to see, because he is the hard counter. I'm already seeing it on my chart. People are putting Rex.
He's the hard...
He's the top 10 that don't move.
He's the hard counter to everything. He's the hard counter to speed.
Yeah.
He's forever meta. Rex, until they make a character similar to him. But I mean, definitely one of the best. I mean, Rex has no Zeta. Rex has never gotten a rework. Definitely like one of the best kits they ever created in this game, from start, from scratch, without a doubt. But yeah, I mean, not much difference otherwise. General Veers is seeing some more use there at the end, and he's the top. He's now ranked 10, and. You're seeing, of course, we still have Mother Talzin and Asajj Ventress up here. Admiral Akbar with those Hermit Yoda teams, those Hoda teams out there. So we're still seeing a relatively similar top 10, but again, shooting up the ladder here, Emperor Palpatine, and obviously, like you said, we'll probably see an increase in some Rex here as we get more Palpatines over the next couple of weeks. But CLS. Gets bumped back by Emperor Palpatine. And let's take a look at the top 10 squad members at rank 1. And, when you look at this, I would have assumed because we're seeing more Emperor Palpatine that we'd be seeing Emperor Palpatine higher up the list. But it looks like, rounding out at the end there, I mean, it looks like the top 10 here is relatively similar. General Kenobi, R2-D2, Thrawn, Rey Jedi Training, and BB-8, Han Solo, CLS. And then the last 3 are Palpatine, Vader, Nihilus, right? So those guys are probably all together, right, in that squad. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to see them creep up here?
Yes, definitely. Maybe not Nihilus quite as much because he is super difficult to get just with the single hard node. So I think we'll see Palpatine and Vader creep up the ladder here. I mean, CLS is going to drop off. Kenobi's going to stay strong. R2 is probably going to fall a little bit just because he doesn't he doesn't really pair well on a Palpatine team. Thrawn is probably going to stay the same. A lot of the guys on my chart use Thrawn with their Palpatine. So he might rise a little bit. He'll probably stay about the same. So we're going to see it switch up. We're going to see it kind of balance out. There won't be as big a pieces of pie anymore, but there'll be just equal pieces of pie across the board, which is good. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? I mean, that's a good thing, I think. Just diversity. Yes, it's only 3 different teams, but at least it's not one team. Like, remember the wigs meta? Everybody had wigs in their team.
Oh.
Or like the Maul, everybody using Maul is like just, so this is good to see. It's good for the game.
I didn't think we were ever going to see the end of the Wigs meta. I thought they just did too much damage, but that that eventually did pass too. I mean, really that kind of died with Shore Trooper and that crit immunity. That kind of killed the whole AOE Lando meta with Wedge, Anakin, all of them. It was pretty much just just AOE, splash damage, everybody, and then that kind of just stopped. Matches were getting completed. I mean, I was beating people in like 40 seconds. You know what I mean? But it was interesting. But yeah, so that's the top 10 squad members at rank 1. Again, not much change with the exception of the appearance really of Vader in the top 10 squad members, which is pretty cool. But we're going to go ahead and do our top 5 now. And this week we're doing top 5 PvE characters. Now these are relatively characters that are easier to get. Okay, so these are characters that are going to be relatively free-to-play characters, farmable characters that are good in PvE content. So that's things like light side, dark side battles, events, raids and territory wars or guild events, galactic war, cantina battles, things like that. So these are the characters that can help you get through some of those missions, and of course, raids being a very heavy theme in this game because of the rewards that you get from them. That's a huge factor too in the selection of these characters. So, who's our number 5 PvE character in the game, Maurice?
I believe it was Cody, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay, Cody. Again, like you said, these characters, there's no legendary characters, there's no raid exclusive characters. Only can be farmed through the various stores and on the board. Number 5 would be Cody. It's a little bit dated, but he's still just pumps out the damage in P4 as a raid. Just any sort of PvE content that Cody move, especially you got to Zeta him obviously. It just pumps out tons of damage. Really makes the clone team. And a lot of these clones you have like 5s and clone sergeants. They're captains or crew members of ships. So you're going to want to at least try to use them, and Cody's the way to do it. The clones don't have a viable team at all without a Cody lead, in my opinion. They're pretty awful without Cody.
The only real option there besides Cody would be General Kenobi lead, and I mean they definitely benefit tremendously from the Cody lead, and they do a ton of damage in the heroic AAT raid. That whole Princess Zodi team was all the craze for a long time. Just in general, a full clone squad with Cody lead can be tremendous for Galactic War or any of the other PvE areas of the game, such as cantina battles or light side battles. So that's definitely a great character to have all around.
Yeah, if you guys have him. There is a new raid coming out, and there might be a zone or like a phase or something in the raid. Maybe Cody, gets a little shot in the arm and he's usable again, at least serviceable for the new raid. Crossing your fingers for that if you do have the clones.
Now, number 4 is none other than Jyn Erso. Okay, and what are your thoughts on her?
Just fantastic. I mean, the name of this game, the best abilities are ones that remove or, turn meter manipulation. And she has a move that removes all of 100% of turn meter of a character, and then she gains, once you put that omega on it, any turn meter she takes away, she picks back up. It's on I think 2 or 3 turn cooldown, very low cooldown. So she goes, sucks the turn meter down, and then, her cooldown is reduced by 1, and because she gets to go immediately again. She's got an AoE that gives advantage to another character, and also revives any rebel. I mean, I'd still use her to this day in my Rancor team. There's been lots of teams in the tank raid, like the P1 and the P3 team that is in. Just great character, mandatory for light side territory battles. The Zeta, I have her Zeta. Some say you can do that. I guess P6 Rogue One mission without the Zeta. But you're going to have her for that mission. Just great leader ability, protection regen. If you put that Zeta on it, she exposes anybody that gets debuffed, and that Rogue One team is just stacked full of debuffs with Baze and K2SO and Cassian, stuff like that. Just a great character. And farmable out of the guild store. So she's a little tougher to get, but for newer players, she is definitely somebody you should focus on first out of that guild store. Just she's got a ship. Great character.
Yeah, no, she's tremendous. I mean, especially in raids and light side territory battles. Obviously, light side territory battles being with Rogue One being a required team, she's going to be the best leader you can have in there, and with her leader ability being, I believe, protection regeneration in some way to her allies or her rebel allies.
Yeah, anytime they get a buff, they get protection regen.
Right. So I mean, especially during parts of PvE content that include several waves, like for example, your military might event against the Empire. She's a great leader because of the protection regen throughout the waves. For Galactic War, she's a great leader for protection regen throughout the different battles because you obviously you could start off with full health. By the middle of Galactic War, you could have half your health left and a little bit of protection, and then by the end of it, you can have all your protection back again behind a Jin lead. So that's pretty cool, and obviously her ability to also revive an ally, a rebel ally, is a huge benefit as well, because throughout these PvE battles, if you're able to revive the characters, sometimes you can use them again in the next battle, for example, in Galactic War, or in the next phase, if you happen to survive in a raid. So that's fantastic. All around, she's just a great character.
Nodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I could not beat that short trooper node. Now I could not 3-star it until I got Jen semi-developed, and then you go in there and you do her Terminator removal on Imbo, locks him up, and it's a breeze. She's great for those 9-table hard nodes, because those are pretty difficult in terms of light side battles. That's the toughest ones in the game. So
yeah, no, she's definitely an important character all around in this game, and again, her leader, if you put a Zeta on it too, is very beneficial. So, moving along though, our number 3 best PvE character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is General Veers. Why did you place him here, Maurice?
Well, I don't think if there was no such thing as dark side territory battles, I don't think he would be included in this. But you put that Zeta on him, it just your Imperial troopers are legit with that Zeta. You can't. And he's mandatory for the dark side territory battles. Just all the Terminator he gives, just crazy amounts of his leader ability is good. He's what makes the Imperial Trooper team go. And if you guys have developed your Imperial Trooper team, you're starting to use them, and you put that Zeta on him, you just see they can just burn through just phase after phase on the territory battles. I haven't. He does have a lot of viability for the tank raid. It's not going to be your best team, but it is a team that can pump out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million damage if you have them really tricked out in certain phases. Just good all around character, good investment, mandatory investment. So start him now if you have not.
Yeah.
You'll be able to thank you.
Yeah. He's a mandatory character, of course. That is another reason, why he's important here. But also for your territory wars. I mean, for example, if you're facing off against a guild that puts up a whole wall of Night Sisters, having an Imperial Trooper team with General Veers can be a lifesaver. I mean, they're not going to be a great defensive team that you're going to put on defense to hold up against the guild, but they'll be a great offensive team that you can use to get some wins here and there. And once you put that Zeta on Veers and you have some solid Imperial troopers around them, you can really get somewhere. You can really get a couple of teams out with that squad, and especially Night Sisters, which can be a nightmare if you don't have the right counter to them. But General Veers, again, heavily used in dark side territory battles. Again, can be very essential in territory wars. obviously can be an asset in Galactic War and some of the other PvE battles, such as dark side battles and Cantina battles. But he really shines in that dark side territory battles, where of course he's also a required character. But moving on to number 2, our number 2 PvE character in the game is Darth Vader. So, why is he here, Maurice?
Well, we've talked about it already. He gets that massive speed boost. He has been I would venture to guess probably at least half the people that solo the Rancor use some sort of Vader team. Especially if you don't have CLS, he's easy peasy solo of the Rancor as a Zeta lead. Especially now with him being so fast, just dropping dots everywhere. Any sort of PvE content. If you're facing a bunch of AI, just generic characters, and you really manipulate, you pair him with like a Sidious, pair him with anybody else that does dots, like a Boba Fett. They just let the dots stack and just kind of buy time, just melt the team. Just massive damage, and he is he's part of the Wampa team that people are soloing the tank right now. I mean, that's all you need to do. If you can solo a raid, you are a tremendous PvE character. He can now solo both of the raids we have open in the game. It's pretty incredible. I mean, they just gave him a ton of speed, and and we saw him in the meta report. He's back in the meta report and a PvP side of the game too. So this character, I imagine, though, if you have him unlocked, you've already geared him. Because I mean, it's Darth Vader. You get Darth Vader, you're going to gear him up.
He is pretty much, obviously, he's Anakin Skywalker. He's the face of Star Wars. He's the reason for the original 6 movies. It's his rise and fall. He's the main character of Star Wars, and he is the chosen one. And, honestly, yes, he is the chosen one in this game now, too. I mean, he was forever really a character that was kind of unusable, until they gave him that Zeta, which made him a great leader and made him a great option for the heroic Rancor raid, and an easy ability to solo that raid. Obviously, turn meter reduction being the key there, with his ability to do that and do massive damage with his culling blade and all the dots that are accumulated throughout the course of the battle. He's just a great option to have as a PvE character for those Rancor raids. But now, with the rework and obviously the addition of Wampa, we've seen that he can also solo the AAT raid as well, like you said. So that's a really awesome addition to have for pretty much everything. I mean, again, he's going to be needed for dark side territory battles because he's obviously a required character in certain aspects. He's also a great option to have when you're using or you're required to have all Empire teams. He's a great option to have for territory wars. Now that obviously the increase of viability of Vader and Palpatine together makes them possibly a good defensive team and a good team for Arena as well. But also obviously can get through all the other PvE content, including Galactic War, Cantina battles, dark side battles, but a really huge asset for dark side territory battles and territory wars, and both the HAAT raid and the heroic Rancor. So overall, just a great character. Can't imagine there being a better PvE character in this game, but apparently there is. And at rank 1, I'm wondering how this person made it here, but at rank 1 we have Finn. I wonder who chose this guy.
All right, well, maybe 1 and 2. It's 1A and 1B. Okay, we'll do that.
I know that you have a Finn doll in your bed, and I know that you have a poster of Finn where he's just like in that part in The Force Awakens where he's like, woo, like it's just like a freeze frame of him doing that,
Yes, but the Resistance Finn, chances are, one of your first 3 or 4 Zetas is probably going to be Finn. Just, I mean, crush it. You can solo P4. You can probably solo P2 now. Just the mechanic of his Zeta lead just generates so much turn meter for the Resistance. It's an automatic team for light side territory battles. I know me, like that. On light side territory battles, you have the one mission on all the bottom phases. I just take Resistance all the way across and just 6-6 every single one of them. The leadership is so fantastic. You can do it with under-geared Resistance and light side territories. You don't need to have them gear 11 and 12. You can get in there, with some decent mods on Poe and make him a little fast. You can get in there with gear 8, gear 9, Resistance behind Finn. It's incredible leader ability. You need them for the speed mod challenges, which in my opinion are probably the best mod sets. That's just my opinion. He's got a ship, but I guess that's PvP. Just you breeze through the light side board, like the light side, the battles. Just breeze through every single one of them, not a problem.
I wonder how I won that mod challenge without Finn Zeta back in the day. I must have gotten really lucky that you know what I mean, like without the only leader you had was Poe, right? I mean, you had the Poe leader ability. That was it.
I think I used Poe lead too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
I mean, you had the Finn leader, but I mean, it was not anywhere near as good as it is now. So I mean, it was like not usable. You know what I mean? So that was it. But
his kit's not terrible either. If you deck him out with Omegas, he can generate a lot of damage on his basic attack, especially if it's the first time he hits a character. He's got a stun. I think he's the only stun of the traditional Resistance, and then also he's got the move that pretty much keeps Poe alive, that heal over time that he shares with Poe. He's pretty good on 20% heal over time. And you can keep pumping it and just reducing the cooldowns. Resistance always have their abilities. It's just it's a fun team. It's an easy team to use and to gear. You'll use it for the entirety of your Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes career. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be an option for anything that requires light side characters.
It's a fantastic character, and I mean, he was again a character that was not really used much, but once he got that Zeta, that kind of changed the Resistance squad as a whole. Now they became
he was terrible before that Zeta. He was awful. He was not a good character at all.
I mean, the Resistance as a whole now are probably the best team or one of the best teams for a raid, whether that be the heroic AAT, even I think they could do well in a Rancor raid. But I mean, it's just all that the cooldown reductions, the stuns, the expose, the turn meter reduction from Poe. Overall, if everything's working on all cylinders and you have high potency on the squad and you're stunning characters and exposing characters left and right with the Resistance team like they do, overall, I mean, it's just a great character to have. He's great for light side territory battles. Pretty much can get you a guaranteed win in all the phases. He's great for territory wars to beat teams as an offensive team. He's not gonna be somebody. You're not gonna put a Resistance team with him as leader on defense, but you can use him as a leader to take out some pretty good squads out there. Again, very good against some of the other teams that you're gonna have to face against. I mean, I think you could use him against a KRU team or maybe some of these CLS teams, depending on who they have there. For example, let's say it's a Zaris team, very good against the Zaris team with Kenobi lead. I mean, pretty much nullifies Zaris's heal ability for the squad. With all that exposed, you're going to be able to take her out fairly quickly. So definitely a great addition to all the aspects of PvE, especially Galactic War as well. You can get through your Galactic War with a Resistance squad at a Finn lead in just a few minutes, if done correctly. So, great character, absolutely. I mean, it's. I think it's a kind of a toss-up between him and Vader, but I can see why you put him here, for sure. So that's our top 5 PvE characters for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, we do have an honorable mention, and that is our boy, Tebow. Yes.
This is the only list Tebow will probably ever make. So we had to give him a little chance to shine here.
It's your boy. It's your boy Tebow.
He looks so stupid. Yeah, just the turn meter removal he has is just like Jin. It's incredible for just suck all the turn meter away from the Rancor, take all the turn meter away from the battle droid in P3 of the tank. Really, he's pretty much a raid-only type character. And I mean, even some of the Ewok teams, I see, a lot of them don't include Tebow that I see. So, that's really about it. It does no damage. He's tanky. He can't go stealth. His lead is cool because it does generate, it does randomly make other characters stealth. So it does have kind of a little gimmick to it. But this is basically just for his, the move where he goes invisible. Whenever he's invisible, he removes turn meter from the Rancor, from the battle droid.
He's also got that he can remove taunt. He can dispel.
Yes, yeah, he is a dispeller. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. He's got some wicked suspenders.
He's got some wicked suspenders, yeah, for sure. And with his character rework or with his design rework, I mean, it looks like he's a jailbird. I mean, you see all those stripes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But if you guys don't have Tebow, you're probably going to be okay. But the vast majority of us have played, over a year. This used to be our go-to Rancor guy. You remember the Tebow and Qui-Gon Jinn teams everybody used to use? Tebow was the man for the Rancor for the longest time.
Yeah, he was kind of a joke. He was kind of a joke, and then when we first saw Tebow being used as like the main, the main character for that heroic Rancor raid. If you had said that to me like a few months earlier, like, oh, well, Tebow's going to be the key to this raid, I would have laughed at you. Because I remember when that raid first came out, we could barely get. I mean, even with it, we were running like Rex lead with like, with Qui-Gon Jinn and like all these different things, just anything to try to reduce the turn meter. And then finally somebody figured out, if you throw Tebow out there and a couple other guys, you can solo the whole first phase of the raid. And that became something that he did, and he was able to help you, pretty much solo, into a couple other phases. But once Zetas came out and you had Zeta out there, and you could just pretty much put it on auto to defeat it, that kind of changed life for Tebow, and he became less of an important character. But still great for PvE. Again, you can run the Ewoks through Galactic War 2 with Tebow, and you'll have no problem there. They were good even before they nerfed Galactic War. So I mean, just a good synergy between them all. Whether you're running a Tebow lead or a Chirpa, and on top of that, Tebow does have tremendous value in other areas of the game. For example, light side battles and things like that as well. So great PvE character for sure. But that finishes up our top 5 PvE characters for the game, courtesy of Maurice, the Alliance, and all the love that we put together to put these lists for you, or get these lists out for you every week. Maurice, spends time, analyzing stats and data, sweating, just thinking really intensely when he makes these decisions. And I'm glad that he takes the time to do that for us all here today. So thank you very much, Maurice. But
thank you, Ramon.
Let's move on back to some gameplay here, and I know we've got a bunch of questions in the chat, and we're already an hour in here, so let's get started with our Q&A section.
All right, yeah, I've scooped up quite a few. We answered things kind of when we were discussing the level cap increase. Okay, this is one I don't think we actually get very often. This comes from Neon Cypher, and he just says, "How can I level up faster?" I'm assuming he's a newer player, and he's not sure what his level is. We'll just assume it's like level 60 to 70. He's trying to get to 85. So, any tips on leveling up?
you're gonna. Oh, man, I mean, what? How did we get energy again for leveling up? I totally forget. It's been so long that I forgot like what you have to do to level up. What was it? What was it? Beating the simming battles and stuff like that give you XP.
Yeah, well, any energy you spend on a light side, dark side cantina, like if you go in and like you can farm the Kylo Ren node for 10 cantina energy, it gives you 10 experience to level up. Like it's a 1-for-1. So I mean, they're really the only way you can level up in this game is spending energy. If you're just looking just to level up, you can level up quicker if you just do, like, let's say you have 100 crystals a day to spend on refreshes. If your main objective is to level up, you're going to want to use them on the light side, dark side battles because you can get 2 refreshes to the one in Cantina. Is the Cantina refresh more valuable in obtaining characters and mods? Absolutely. That's the only way. You got to make sure you do your dailies every single day because that's where you get the vast. That you get a huge chunk of it every day when you get all through your dailies. You click that last one. All daily activities complete. That gives you a nice little chunk of XP. Just you got to grind it out. I mean, if you want to level up fast, then you're going to have to spend crystals. That's really all there is to it. There's no way to get it up.
It's really
outside
mainly.
of just.
It's really mainly.
You got to make sure you get all your refreshes too. Where they give you the daily. What is it? Noon. They give you the double whammy, the cantina, and the regular. Then after your arena payout, then I think like mine's 9 p.m. I think it's noon, 6 and 9 p.m. and you get extra free energy. You got to make sure you get all of that every day.
The best thing you really could do is, like Maurice is saying, is just make sure you get all the stuff that's given to you, basically, like all the freebies that you can get in the game as far as, extra energy, making sure that you don't, allow yourself to get to max energy and not use it for a long time because then you're just wasting energy. It's just sitting there and you're not accumulating any new energy. So you want to always make sure that you're using your energy and not allowing it to just get full. And also on top of that, you want to try to get as high a rank in arena as you can, so you get more crystals, because more crystals means more refreshes, and the more refreshes you can get, for Cantina. Let's say you can buy 1 or 2 of those 100 refreshes for Cantina, maybe 3 with your crystals. That's going to help you level up faster as well. So those are really the main things you want to focus on. Because other than that, it's spending money. So I mean, if you have money and that's what you're planning on investing in the game to help you get through or get to level 85 faster, that's another way to do it as well. But besides spending money, it's going to be ranking higher in arena and just utilizing all the free resources that you get in the game and making sure that you don't miss out on any opportunities or any free energy that you could be getting through the duration.
All right. There you go, Mr. Cypher. Next one. This one comes from Josu Garcia. Who do you think, this is a question we get every so often, who do you think is the best 5th character for the Jedi Training Ray BB-8 R2 GK arena team? Looking for a 5th to put behind JTR, BB-8, R2, and GK.
Well, I'm actually running right now that exact team with Kylo Ren unmasked, just for fun. But I mean, to be honest with you, the best character back there, it's tough to say. I've tried all of them, and none of them are really amazing. None of them are really none of them are the best answer. Like there's no one I would say is like head and shoulders above all the rest, but. Some of the best are, from my experience, I've had great success with Wampa. I've had great success with regular Ray Scavenger. I've had success with Poe. Also, I've done, for a very long time, I was running Mother Talzin as my 5th, and she was doing very well because the addition of Plague with the Exposed was just fantastic, and basically just ensured that if I wasn't whittling them down with the rest of my team, that Plague was slowly grinding them out as well. So Mother Talzin's a great option there too, but you could pretty much get away with a lot of options. I mean, you could use CLS, you could use Thrawn, you could use Nihilus as your fifth. I mean, really, any of those characters that you can kind of plug and play would be beneficial for you there.
Yeah, you know, the traditional team here is like Old Ben. Old Ben, if you're on offense, if you're running offense, I would use Scavenger Ray just to kind of climb the ladder quickly, give you a little extra DPS to do so. But maybe in your last battle, you put in Old Ben, just leave overnight because it will hold way better than if you leave Scavenger in there. And if your BB-8 if you're having a little trouble getting BB-8 to go first, like your mods aren't quite as good as the rest of your arena team, use Chopper because he will give BB-8 like a little boost, and maybe get your team to go first. Just some characters that you may have, because you need Old Ben for the Commander Loop, you need Chopper for the Phoenix team, and Scavenger Ray. Yeah, I'm sure you have. So all sorts of stuff you could use there.
Yeah, Scavenger Ray is kind of a great option because she's already part of that faction. Like, you're not losing anything by throwing her in that team. Whereas, like, if you're trying to add, let's say, another Territory Wars team, you'd be taking away a character from another team, like, for example, Chopper or, let's say, Mother Talzin, who could be used for, a Night Sister team. There's lots of different ways you can go with that. But next question.
Next question. Pull it back up here. We've got one from, I think it's Luke Thyrocker. Yes. Tuesday to spend. 2 on Kylo Ren Unmasked or wait for new content?
Kylo Ren Unmasked. Absolutely. No, I'm just saying.
If you've got a developed First Order team and they're ready to go, you got them all nice and tricked out, Kylo Ren's a good investment. I mean, if you've got like a Gear 9 First Order Stormtrooper, like if you got a lot of work to do on your First Order, maybe put one on Kylo Ren's taunt, just so you have that available and kind of move it around to different teams, because he's a very good standalone character. He's very, very good at pre-taunt. There's very few of those in the game, and then maybe put the second on him when your First Order gets a little closer to completion. I don't know. If you don't have Night Sisters and you don't plan on doing Night Sisters, possibly do it then as well, because it will give you a dark side territory option. Because you're going to need some sort of non-Empire team to use all the way through, just like Resistance and Light Side territory battle. And they're a great option. They can clear all the dark side territory battle content pretty easily. Yeah. Thoughts from you? Anything? Kylo Ren?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Kylo Ren Unmasked is a great option. Again, kind of like Maurice said, it's really dependent upon how your First Order squad is. If you have a great First Order team and you're already, there, most of the way there as far as getting that team together to, really, really be able to be a viable team for either Territory Wars or something like that, then I'd say yeah. But if you're still working on that squad and, you're still working on, kind of just putting together, depending on where you're at with, other teams, I would say hold off, and it also depends on how frequently you're getting Zetas right now. Like, if you're done farming ships and you're getting Zetas out of the shipments every day, and you're also getting Zetas from the challenges, and you're getting Zetas from your Territory Wars, and Zetas are kind of plentiful to you, more plentiful than they are for some other people. Then I would say, yeah, go for it. There's nothing wrong with getting Kylo Ren Unmasked done. It's probably something you're going to have to do eventually for Territory Wars or something like that anyway. But again, if you're somebody that's having or doesn't have that much access to Zetas, and you've been saving these Zetas for a couple of months now, then I would say hold off, because there definitely is another meta coming here pretty soon, I think, and we'll probably find out more about it here in the coming weeks. So we'll see. And again, bear in mind that if they do release, another thing to think about is if they do release these new Sith characters like Darth Traya and Darth Sion, even if there is a new meta, we're probably going to have to wait for at least one of the characters. I mean, if Darth Sion is let's say, a marquee character like, for example, Sith Marauder is, you'll be able to get him faster. But one of these characters will probably be the raid reward character. So you're probably not looking at having that full squad for at least a couple of months. If that's the case, and if that's the case, you can kind of hold off probably on saving and just start using them on squads you need them for right now. There's not a ton of benefit to just holding Zetas. You usually want to try to get them out. If you have an extra Zeta, you want to save one. You have two of them, put one of them on a character and save the other one until you get another one, and then use it. So you always have a Zeta saved up just in case something crazy drops out of nowhere. I'd say yeah, that's fine. But Zetas are going to do you a lot more good equipped onto characters than they are, just burning a hole in your pocket. That's what I'd say. What do you think, Maurice?
Well, yep. You heard it here first, folks. Ramona's you can't bring Zetas with you to the afterlife, so just go ahead and dump them.
You can't keep them. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to take them with you. So just get rid of them. Yeah. But no, I mean, it depends. Again, if you have other things you're working towards, I would say sure. But I mean, if it seems like you have your heart set on Kylo Ren Unmasked, then I would say he's a great character all around. His leader is a great Zeta. His unique is a great Zeta. You can't go wrong for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Hans Omar von Harold Duarte. All right. He says, Shore Trooper Palpatine, Magna Trooper Vader, Snow Trooper Veers. How would you mod them for TB or PvP? Well, I mean that's
a loaded question. That's a loaded question right there, my friend.
All right, Shore Trooper Palpatine, Magna Trooper Vader, Snow Trooper Veers. I will say that you were missing Starks out of this list. He's going to be required for TB, so you can mod him up however you want, but you're not going to be able to use them if you don't have Starks. So you need to have Starks. For TB wise, the troopers in general, I personally feel it's best to have Starks as the fastest character on your team, especially if you have that Zeta Veers. Speeds up the team, generates turn meter. Starks you can focus all your speed on Starks, and he'll feed turn meter to the rest of the team to kind of speed them up. I personally like a super offensive heavy Snow Trooper. I don't have much speed on him. I stack him with offense. I think I have an offense cross and an offense arrow on him. But again, I have that Veers Zeta, so he's getting a lot of turn meter, especially when somebody dies. You just get the Snow Trooper
Doesn't he get to reduce? Doesn't his cooldown get reduced based on crits?
Yeah, especially in TB. I mean, you're lighting up 5-6 characters. You're gonna AOE over and over and over again.
You're gonna want to put a crit chance arrow on him, I'm sure. A crit chance triangle on him, right?
Well, it depends on your mods. I've been farming mods a long time. I can kind of generate enough secondary crit chance, and I can do crit. You want crit damage triangle, crit damage for sure. But I guess I don't know. It depends on your mods, but. Snow Trooper definitely crit chance and crit damage sets. Magna Trooper, I haven't used him too much to really give good advice on how to mod him. Vader, Vader depends. TB, you don't really need to put. If you're using for TB, you don't really need to put any speed on him because he's going to generate so much turn meter. Because you're facing nothing but rebels. You can just stack him with crit chance, crit damage, maybe some potency. Lots of offense, but for PvP, you're going to want to have him go first. So he needs to be fast enough to be the fastest person on your shard. That's the goal, right? That's the goal with Vader, I guess, in the current PvP meta. Shore Trooper, I like a fast Shore Trooper, but again, for TB, you can kind of slow him down a little bit. Yeah, you got to get Starks. You got to get Starks on that list. He's going to be mandatory. He really makes that. He's a nice piece to that Imperial Trooper team, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the Imperial Trooper squad, I agree with the gearing as far as as far as Snow Trooper's concerned, I'd say a Shore Trooper, you're going to want to gear up with protection in mind, mainly because he's going to be continuing to regen his health. So I would say protection on. Uh, I would say protection because, I mean, again, even though he can heal himself, protection he's not going to be able to get back unless you're behind, like, let's say, a Thrawn lead. But the protection is a huge benefit. Unless you want to stack it up with health, because he can regen the health. The more health regen he gets, or the more health you get, the more he can regen his health. So that's a benefit, and I think he regens the team's health with a percentage of his own health, right? So the more health that Shore Trooper has, the more health he gives to the rest of the team as well.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, he's probably somebody you want to either set up with protection or health. But what I've done with my Short Trooper is I've just stacked him up with a ton of tenacity. So he has 3 tenacity sets. He has tenacity secondaries. I'm not really too concerned with his speed. I just don't want him to get ability blocked. So that he can't taunt. So that's the main reason I do that. But it depends on what you're using him for. My focus is based upon arena, and that's why I model them that way.
Yeah, you can't really. You're gonna want to mod them completely differently for PvP than you are TP. That's for sure. So.
But yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on that. I mean, again, it's going to depend on where you're using them and what you need them for. But overall, I think that that's the main thing. And again, crit chance, crit damage heavy for the maybe you want to use a crit damage triangle with Snow Trooper, but then maybe you want to use crit chance sets. So if you get 3 crit chance sets, that would really increase his crit chance a lot and make sure that he gets that cooldown reduced quite frequently. So. It's a way to go.
All right, let's see here. All right. We have the next question comes from our buddy Prenny. What are some good teams that can beat Phoenix Squad? Sometimes in TW it's hard for me to judge what's enough to take them out without overspending. That's a good question. A lot of people still have the droids. You could substitute maybe, I don't know who you'd substitute, but maybe build a droid team. B2 is pretty good to take out Phoenix. He does that, he dispels and he buff blocks them so they don't get all that annoying protection up. They don't get, the taunters can't taunt. They won't get buffs from Chopper's, basic ability. B2 is great. And anybody with buff immunity is a nice. You could probably bring in, Rebel Leia Organa is a character. I mean, digging deep here because this is TW we're talking. Like Rebel Leia is not a bad choice. Maybe you could get her leader and maybe pair him up with a Captain Han and Leia, and then just like Hoth Scout and Hoth, just some trash rebels, and just kind of daze them and buff block them and just kind of whittle them away because they'll never regenerate stuff. Just I don't know. So you don't. That's a good. It's tough to. Because I find myself doing that often as well. I'll go in against the Phoenix team, and I brought in way too much firepower.
Oh yeah. That's one of the common things. I mean, everybody talks about is like they could have probably brought in an easier team to beat them. But the thing is that you also don't want to, especially now that they've made the changes to territory wars, you don't want to waste a battle either. So you got to be careful. What team you bring in. I think you're kind of on the money there with that droid squad. Although I think the composition I'm thinking of includes like Chief Nebbit. So I would think like maybe a Chief Nebbit's a great addition to that squad. So I would think like a Chief Nebbit would be a great option with an HK-47 leader. Maybe with IG-88, IG-86, and either Jawa Engineer or B2, like you said, is the other option. So that would
you could probably dump Jawa Engineer because the Phoenix, apart from Chopper, they're relatively slow, just like the droids. So. If you take the time to maybe, I'm not talking to put like your A and B mods in your droids, but if you spend a little time kind of, touching them up and putting a little bit of speed on them and putting a little bit of offense, they should be able to beat the Phoenix team.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
And then you're not using any meta characters, with the Phoenix team really. Like there's no top tier characters. Maybe IJD is probably the best. Him and B2 are the best characters on that team. So
probably, yeah.
Master Kylo.
Master Kylo.
Right. Zeta Palp. Which should be my next Zeta? I got Darth Nihilus, Vader, GK apparently has a Zeta now, and Thrawn. so I guess I don't know if that means he has them or if that's who he's trying to decide between. I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate GK. You probably don't want to Zeta him.
Yeah, because he doesn't have one.
I would hold on the Vader Zeta unless you're just super into ships. To me, especially in an arena setting, I don't think it really has that much of an impact. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have it. Darth Nihilus and Zeta, I've never been a fan of it, but it does pair really well with the Zeta Palpatine now, and Thrawn, obviously. If you're looking for Zetas to complement that team, I guess you don't really. I don't know. I guess you really don't need too many. Like all the comps I'm seeing, they don't really have many Zetas outside of Palpatine and who am I thinking of? Darth Nihilus. I don't really think they have any other Zetas.
No, they don't.
Yeah. You can always do the second on Palpatine. I mean, I don't have either on Palpatine yet, but if you're gonna do one and just really trick him out, you can go ahead and do the other one. It's not gonna hurt. I don't know. It all depends. I don't know what your options are.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that when you're when you're trying to put together a plan or give advice here, it's tough to really get the full picture until we see your roster and where things should be at. But I'll say based upon the question you asked that I mean I think that the next Zeta should be based upon what team you're building next. So if you're building a team for dark side territory battles, then the Zeta should be based around that. If you're building a new team for arena, then it should be based around that. If you're building a new team for territory wars, so you have a good defensive squad, then you should probably apply the Zeta to that, and not base it upon what your favorite character is or anything like that. Because again, this kind of stuff, especially now, everything's team oriented. You want to start putting your resources in towards towards the teams you're going to be able to put together to help your guild. So everything's kind of going to be in that vein, I think, and you gotta plan ahead for sure.
Well, and you got to think that we haven't seen Palpatine in a TW setting with that regenerating, like the massive amount of protection he gets, and then also the stacking of the building onto his max protection. I'm not sure how that's going to function. Because, if he's sitting there stacking his protection and Thrawn gives him the turn meter and builds his protection back up, I mean, theoretically, if somebody goes in and loses against this Palpatine team, the next guy goes in and you could face a Palpatine with even more protection. It could just keep going, and your Palpatine could be just invincible with, 80,000 protection, third, fourth battle in. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I could be completely wrong. But on paper, that's how it kind of looks like it's going to work. If Thrawn fills up that protection that Palpatine's building, he could be a beast. Somebody goes in and messes up and loses. So that's something to at least monitor and see how it really works. That's something I'm gonna be watching. Because if you can stack tons of protection on Palpatine and make a really good defensive team, and he just continues to build his protection pool, that's something to keep in mind for defense for sure. We'll have to see. If anybody in the chat is savvy on that mechanic, type it in. So that'd be good information to know.
Sure.
All right, we got. Let's see. I'm trying to make sense of this. Hans asked another question. When you're farming for mats or hero fragments, do you feel that the battle gives you more mats when you sim? Do you feel like using sim tickets affects the drop rates, basically, is what he's asking.
Hero fragments?
What I'm just yes, hero fragments. Basically what I was asking, do you feel that using sim tickets affects the drop rates at all?
I'm not going to answer that question until you call them shards, my friend. They're shards. No. I'm kidding. That probably that's actually makes more sense. Hero fragments than shards do, but yeah. So what was the question again?
I think basically to summarize, I think what he's asking is using sim tickets versus playing the battles manually. Do you feel it affects the drop rate?
No.
I don't have the statistical evidence in front of me, but I'm in the same boat. I don't think it matters.
No, I think that the drop rate is the drop rate. I think it, I think it varies every day because it just does. I mean, it's just a numbers game, and it's like pulling a slot machine. So that's how it is. You know, sometimes you get 3 cherries, and sometimes you get you get no cherries.
That is pretty much. Let me make sure I didn't miss any here towards the end. Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, there's his last question. That's going to be all the questions we got for tonight.
All right. Well, I mean, I have to say, it was cool. We had a lot of questions. We had again, a week where we didn't have a whole ton of news to discuss, but we definitely had, some cool things to kind of go over, especially with my trip coming up in the next couple of days. Again, I'm definitely going to put a video out there in Sacramento when I get a chance. We'll probably put together some sort of, collaboration video with the other game changers. So I'll probably make a video with Warrior and Mobile Gamer and Anald, and also. Possibly Nukin and any of the other game changers that end up meeting me out there, while we're there for the couple of days that we are. But any updates that I can share with you guys, I will ASAP. Again, we'll be back next week on Friday with the. Well, actually, I probably won't be back so we'll probably be on Saturday. We'll do the live show next week. We'll do it on Saturday night. You guys let us know if you like the Sunday streams. I have a lot of fun doing them on Sundays. It's a little bit easier sometimes. If you prefer Saturday night or Friday night, we'll try to do, what makes everybody happy. I want to, try to switch it up from time to time too, because it's kind of cool to get different crowds, being able to actually make the stream live. Maybe eventually add another stream sometime during the week. When I have more time. I'm just kind of actually in the middle of a move right now. So as I'm moving into a new location, it'll probably be a little bit easier for me to get these things done, a little bit more organized, and, put out more content, period, for the channel. So look forward to that. But I appreciate everybody sticking it around with us, late here. Alliance Live Show number 40. We're battling Team Instinct tomorrow, so stay updated. I'll keep you guys updated on what happens there. Again, thank you guys so much for sticking it out. If you're looking for a guild, the Alliance always has a home for you. Go over to www.thealliancegaming.com and follow the instructions into our Discord. You can find me and Maurice there occasionally in there just doing some chat. And on top of that, we're always, looking for, great talent. Any new, members that want to just come and get advice, they're welcome to come down and just come chat. You can send me private messages there. We also have tons of great content from other Alliance contributors on that website too. So make sure you check out www.thealliancegaming.com. And, again, we'll see you guys next week on the next one. May the Force be with you guys as always. Peace.